to do it. You can also do it on paper, or you can do it online, and I'll put that link in the chat in a second. But we just found we haven't really tried the online thing yet, but that would be a great thing to try. I actually just tried it this afternoon, and I'm going to share with you just an example in a second of my timeline that I started to do online. If you get stuck, some tips are to maybe try starting at a different point in time. So if you start at the beginning and you find you're getting stuck and you can't remember way back to when you were a little kid, maybe start more recently and work your way backwards and see where you get to. Another thing would be to take an event that you already have down and be like, okay, what did that cause in my life, or what did that lead to? And then you can build off of there, or think the other way back and say, okay, this happened, what led to that, what caused that? And that might give you some other ideas or events or things that you want to put on your timeline. I'm going to show you a couple examples, and then I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to start and to give it a go, and then we'll kind of come back and check in and give you a little bit more to think about and to work on. So in terms of examples, here's a timeline. This is Steve Jobs' timeline. And yeah, it has things like assembling an Apple computer for the first time. It has having his daughter on there. It has a bunch of different things. Buying Pixar, all important things in his life. Steve Jobs, I don't think, created this timeline. I'm not actually sure where it came from. So this is one that I've done for myself, and I'm going to show you another one of my own. So I'd used a not straight line method. I did kind of rambly because I was feeling like my life was pretty rambly at that time. And I used kind of different colors to show different periods of my life and things that connected. And I'm going to try and show you the one that I just started online. Let me stop sharing. I think I have to share a different screen. Yeah, let's try this and see if it works. I have it on the timer, but I think if I change my tabs. So yeah, this is the timeline that I started doing today. So I was born way back in 1982. I'm old. And I started thinking about, okay, what were significant things that happened to me? I put down in 1986, when I was 4 years old, I asked my parents to take me to church. We weren't going to church, and someone at school had talked about going to church, and I really wanted to go to church. And so my parents took me to church, and I developed this whole community and built a really strong community that really influenced my life going forward. And so I put that down as a thing that was important, turning point in my life. What else do I have here? And yeah, when I was early teenager, me and my friends, we started a youth group, as a community youth group. And that was a really important thing in my life. And now I work with youth. And so that was something that really contributed to who I am and to what I've learned. And in 1999, I was in high school at that time, and I went on an exchange to France for a semester. And I learned, I'd taken French, but I became a much better speaker of French living there for a semester. I went to university in 2001. That was a big deal. I met my current group of friends who I'm still really close with and connected to. We all met in university. And anyway, you don't want to necessarily know my whole story, but those are the types of things that you want to put on your timeline. Other things I have on here, I ended up moving to Malawi for 4 years in 2010, and then decided to move back. So those were really big kind of turning points and things that contributed to who I am and where I'm at. I met Dave in 2015 is the last thing I got. That's as far as I got. That's when I met my current partner. So those are types of things that you can think about that are important to you. Everyone's is going to look really, really different. Any questions or any details? I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get a start. I'm going to put a timer on. And you can, and I'll put this, that's the other thing I'll do. I'll put the link to this timeline in the chat, so you can use the computer version if you want, or you can do it on paper. Any questions before we get going? I can't see you all.
Anything that stands out in your life experience in Malawi? Just one.
One thing that sticks out in my life experience in Malawi? Oh man, there's so many things. My the menu, actually, the one that I'll share that I got a call from a friend like really early in the morning one morning. It was like 6 a.m. or something like that, which is not so early Malawi time, but very early my time. And he said that I've got good news, and I was like, oh yeah, what? He's like, oh, I had a baby, and I was like, oh, that's great, congratulations, like so excited. He's like, okay, you're gonna name her now, and I was like, oh no, I can't name your kid. How am I gonna do that? Anyway, that one came to mind because I was just chatting with him again today, and it was a very memorable moment because I felt a lot of pressure to name someone else's baby. I'm trying to get back to.
I think when we're doing the exercise, you guys can take your video off, mute yourselves. We'll let you can keep sharing. Do you have the timer you wanted to share?
Yeah, I will put up the timer. I just put the thing in the. I couldn't see the chat and share my screen at the same time, so I just shared the link in the chat to the online version of the timeline if you want to do that. And then yeah, I'll put the timer on for 10 minutes. It has music. I didn't actually listen to the music, so if it's annoying, you probably want to turn off your volume, but if it's not too bad, then you may want to listen. And we'll go from there. And if you have questions, yeah, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can like private chat message me or Ike or Lavi or anyone too if you want to like chat through stuff. That's cool too.
We also have Gaylor, who he speaks French, but if you want to talk to him in French, we have Gaylor there as well who can help out.
Okay, here comes the timer. 10 minutes. How's everyone doing?
All right, guys, back on Zoom. If you want to put your video off.
Or on?
Some of us are back. All right, we starting to come back now. That's good.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Can we just go through and share a couple of our timelines here, just so we get to know each other? And then we got a couple questions after that. Let's make sure everyone shares. Let's go. Katia, you're at the top. You're gonna go first.
Okay, so I began my timeline pretty I'm 17, so I haven't, I feel like, lived like compared to some other people here, but I started my timeline with my first day of high school, which was like September 7th, 2018. And like I think about, because I'm graduating this May, I just think about like how I came into high school. And in high school I learned so many lessons that I feel like I will take in like take take with me past high school and forever. And I just also learned in high school a lot about as a Black girl, I learned a lot about how other people see Black people, or how other people see Black women. And I also seen how some Black boys that I go to school with also see us. And I just understood that everything I did was harder, what I had to do more than other people had to do. Or whenever I stated my opinion, it wasn't going to be, I couldn't state my opinion or be passionate about something the same way, let's say, an Asian girl or a white girl was passionate about it, because of the stereotypes that were around, that Black girls were loud, or that we were um, always like opinionated, or like it was just always something that I knew that when I wanted to speak my opinion, I had to be more calmer, or I had to be, that's just like one of many lessons that I learned in high school. And then I think going back before high school to junior high, and like in 2012 my parents got divorced, but in 2016 is when my dad came back from his travels in Africa. And that was like a bizarre time for me, because I spent a couple years with my mom already without him. And I thought as like a child, I was like, that's the bad guy. Like I knew who to like not like, even though I shouldn't have picked between parents. And it put me, when my dad came back, it put me in a really weird position with both of my parents. And I remember like at one point, like grade 8ish, grade 7, grade 8, I don't know if it was like a depression. I couldn't tell what it was, but I remember just not eating, not sleep. I just sleeping, not eating, and just homework wasn't something that I was really worried about. And I remember just finding myself in this awkward position with both my parents and how I felt. And that like, even I remember my parents would point out how indecisive I was, like for a simple decision, like where do you want to eat? And I couldn't decide, like I couldn't give you a decision. And it was just like that, the whole picking, choosing between my parents had like led me to be so indecisive about so many other things. And that even carries on to today. I still haven't decided like what I want to do in university, or what university I want to go to. And like my timer is kind of like running up, but it's just that, oh, okay, we're good. That the parents divorce, that kind of evoked that. And in 2016 I also took a summer camp, I took a state summer camp. We applied for a bursary and I got in. And it was like a $500 class, so I got to spend time with chefs and all that. And that's when I evoked my love, or passion for baking. That was just something fun that I enjoyed doing. And then in May 18th, like 2018, I got my first job. I got my first job through school. They were advertising at our school if you wanted to come work with us, because our school wasn't too far from the location. And my first job was a waitress, or like we were wait staff for graduation banquets. And that's when I realized like working is hard. Working was just hard. And I'll never forget how tired I was after my first shift. And I was like, oh my goodness. It just realized also that like, also I was working so hard and I realized I was putting money into somebody else's pockets more than I was myself. And that's when like I kind of came up with the idea that I wanted to start my own business sometime sooner, or like my own boutique of some sort. And I've had this idea for like 2 years on and off, and I never really like did it. Like it just was an idea, and then it stopped being an idea, then it was an idea again. And then that's why currently, like as we speak off time, like whenever I'm not busy with school or work, I'm hoping by summer I can open up my business called Kitoko Couture. And I just hoping to open up a boutique. And that's why with the money that I'm gonna receive from this internship, that I can hopefully put it into getting my license for my business and everything that I need to do for my business. And that's my timeline.
Hey, clap, send thumbs up. We gotta encourage each other. Snap, yeah, if you're with it like that. Good, good. Yeah, continuing on. Excellent, Kate. Yeah, that's really good. Let's move on to Jolie.
I'll share my screen with everyone.
Is it working for you? Oh, never mind. There you go.
No, it's not. Wait, let me see.
Sorry, we
We're
were
right
we were
there. We
seeing
could
it.
see it.
We could see it.
Oh, was it the timeline?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So I guess my timeline starts with when I was born. So I was born in April 28, 1998. So then I moved to Canada in 2006. So I was about 7 years old. And then when I moved to Canada, like the first place we moved was Vancouver. Oh, why does it keep doing that? Is it still good?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. We can see it.
Okay. So then after I moved to Vancouver, after a while, like the economy wasn't doing so well. So we had like a big shift from Vancouver to Calgary. And then that's when I realized I had to adapt to Calgary, and it wasn't easy. Like the weather was just completely different from Vancouver, and it was really, really cold. And this was like the coldest weather I've ever lived in. And so that took some time, and then also new school. So that was a big that was a big change in my life, and making new friends and being the new kid again. And then in 2012, this was when I was like 14 years old, I got my first job as a delivery, like just delivering flyers and stuff like that, like newspapers, and it was a Calgary Herald and a bunch of like other newspapers. And then in 2017, I graduated from high school. And so that was a big part of like my timeline, because that took like 12 years to graduate from high school. So that was a big celebration there. And then in the summer of 2017, I got to travel to the Congo. And that was kind of like a gift from me to myself, just getting the opportunity to spend the whole summer with like my family back home, my aunts, my cousins, and just meeting new people and just like a new environment. And I think that just made me appreciate the opportunity to just live in Canada. Like it was a reminder of what other people are going through and the struggles, the everyday struggles that people face in Africa. And also it made me a lot more close. It made me get a little more closer with my culture. Like because even though like at home, like, yeah, we speak like French, Swahili, we practice our languages, we eat African food, but you're just sharing that with your parents is different than sharing it with like other people from the Congo. So I don't know, I just felt more connected to my culture when I traveled to Africa, because it was just, you got to learn so much, and I just got to meet so many like amazing people that I didn't even know. Like I had a big family, and you just feel so loved. So that was a really, really, really nice trip that I got to experience before, just before starting university. So that was the summer of like my high school year graduation thing. So that was like a really good start to my my year before going into university, and it actually made me work a lot harder in university, like as a first year university student, just from the whole experience of going back home again and seeing everything. Just because I was so young when I left, so I didn't even like remember that much when I was like younger. So it was nice to go back when I'm older and I can see more things, and yeah, so it was really nice. And then started university in 2017. Oh, started university in 2018. I think it was 2017 though, but I think I made a mistake there. And then in 2019, a big thing that I did was traveling to Cancun, like with just my friends, like without my family. That was my first trip alone without like family members. So that was a really fun trip for me. A little bit dangerous, but it was okay. And then right now, well, no, May 1st, 2020 was when I started working with Alberta Health Services to help deal with the pandemic as a frontline worker. So that was a big switch to my job, because before I was working as a support worker for youth and adults with disabilities. So then getting the opportunity to work as a frontline worker and meeting so many different patients, helping in so many different ways. And I'm trained to work on a lot of different units, so different diseases and stuff was a really great learning opportunity for me. So I'm doing this while I'm in university, so it's really gonna help me with my nursing degree, because you just get to learn and see so much. And yeah, I guess that's everything for my timeline.
Right, clap for Jolie. Good job.
Thank you.
Jolie, you are honored above all other interns just because May 1st is my birthday and you put that on your timeline somehow. So, you win all the points right now. No one else can get it even close, Just give up now. I'm kidding. Let's go.
Everyone's going and editing their timelines now, Ike, to put neighbors.
Let's see. Over to Mama Felicia.
I was gonna say, I was born May 1st. So I just wrote mine like on a piece of paper, but I'll read it.
It's okay.
Born in 1981. Yes, not in the 90s like a lot of them that just said just now. Went to Trinidad for the first time in 1988. I was about 6. And I really remember that because we had taken a bus from Edmonton all the way to Montreal. And I distinctly remember there was one stop on the way because my mom's a single mom. There's three of us kids. I remember that the bus, she stopped at McDonald's to get something for us. And the bus was like going to leave. And I remember being at the back of the bus and I was like crying and crying and crying because my mom was in the McDonald's and the bus was going to leave and we wouldn't see her again. And I was 6, right? So anyways, she got on the bus. But I distinctly remember that part of my entire trip to Trinidad, but also meeting my grandparents for the first time and a lot of my cousins because all my family is from Trinidad, which if you guys don't know where that is, it's in the Caribbean. Trinidad and Tobago is the official name.
If you don't know where it is, it's just Jamaica. Knock off Jamaica.
Don't even go there, Ike. Don't ever say that to someone from Trinidad. Started going to church at about 1990, became a Christian. I think I was like 8 years old. Moved to Calgary. I was born in Edmonton, so moved to Calgary 1994. Got baptized in 1995. Went to Trinidad again after I graduated high school. High school and junior high, I think, was a blur. Like, I don't remember much of it. It was not fun and it was not a good time. So I just bypassed all that. In 1999, we went to Trinidad for a reunion. My entire family was there. But while we were there, my grandpa actually got hit by a car and killed that time when we were there. So it was kind of crazy, but yeah, it was a crazy time because every single grandchild, every aunt, every uncle, every single person, our entire family was there. So some of my aunts say it was meant to be. I don't know, but it was very tragic and ruined our Christmas because it was Christmas time. Um, then went to Trinidad again 2 years later. And then I feel like from 2000 to like 2008, I went to Trinidad probably every 2 years. Just I was out of school, high school, and I wasn't I didn't go to university yet. So I was like making money, just flying to Trinidad all the time or gallivanting in the islands. I went island hopping 1 year, like 2007 or something like that. And 2004, I won a trip to Jamaica. That was pretty awesome off the radio station, which was a big deal. And I got pregnant in 2010, had my daughter in 2010, started a new church in 2011. I was a bridesmaid like 4 times in 2017 and once in 2015. And then this year I started working at my job. It was actually 2013, started working at this job that I work at. It's a high school for teen moms and I love it. And I really feel like it's my purpose. So that was a big deal. But yeah, so now I'm in a better position in the company that I'm in. And yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, that's it.
Yay, Felicia. All right, Mr. Junior.
All right. So my story is very similar to Jolie's because I'm her brother. So I was born in 2004 in a refugee camp. Came to Canada a couple years later. I came to Canada at a really young age, and I attended French school as my first school, and we visited Congo in 2000. When did we visit Congo? Yeah, we visited Congo a different year than Jolie. We went all the boys and we visited Congo. It was a real eye-opening experience, seeing all the kids and everything, seeing everyone, like seeing all my family. And, I was still pretty young. I think I was grade 6, grade 7, visited Congo. Yeah, then I got my first job in grade 7 summer. I started working at Callaway Park, the amusement park right here. And that was a real eye-opening experience as well, because seeing how hard you have to work for money, like in this world, like seeing how it is. And then I started playing basketball like competitively. I currently play basketball at Bishop McNally High School, and met a lot of my great friends here also as well. And yeah, that's about it. What?
Good question.
Sorry.
Because a lot of people, when they say that they went back to their home country, that it
Yeah.
was an eye-opening experience. What exactly about it was eye-opening for you?
Really seeing how everyone, like seeing the difference between Canada and Congo, because I was raised in Canada because like I came here at a young age. So seeing how people live there and like having to see it firsthand, there was like there was a lot of poverty, a lot of things I'd never seen before. Like, there's no running water, no running electricity. It's just, so seeing that, and coming from living in Canada where everyone has all these luxuries where you can just turn on the tap and have water right here, use the washroom, take a shower right here. Everything's right at our fingertips in Canada, and seeing how people have to work so hard in Congo. Things are also like so cheap, like things are selling for cents in Congo, and then seeing how the money like works here, everything was just so different. So it was a really good experience, and I'm really glad I got to go see Congo and I got to go back home.
Okay, good. Let's go to Pam next.
Okay, so I started mine on my birthday. I was born in, oh, can everyone hear me well, by the way? Because sometimes when you have AirPods, it just doesn't work as well. Okay. So I was born in Lusaka, Zambia, July 22nd, 1999. And then in 2004, we relocated to Calgary, Alberta. And this is the only place I've ever lived in Canada. And then the next thing I have is in 2010 when I started playing music in school band, because music is a huge part of my life and it helped me get through a lot of things. And it helped me see the world too. Like our band traveled everywhere. We went to the States, we went to Asia, um, Europe, like everywhere. And then in 2013, that's when I got my first job at Dairy Queen. And I wasn't even of legal age, like I was working there illegally. So I was 13, not 14 yet. But like everyone is saying, it really taught me the value of a dollar, because you're working your butt off for like minimum wage was $9.95 at the time, and it was just like a pittance of a paycheck, and you're like, wow, you have to work this hard just to get by pretty much. And in 2013 I confirmed, um, and confirmation, it's pretty much like giving the yes to your faith that you want to be a Christian for the rest of your life. And I don't know, just being a Christian has really helped me get through a lot of the things that I've been through. And in 2017, that's when I graduated high school. And it was bittersweet because you, it was good that we were moving on to like better things, but also my dad passed away around that time. So I was super lost and in a really bad state in my life. And then shortly afterwards, I became a Sunday school teacher at my church. And I learned that I really love teaching the gospel and teaching the Bible to kids and making sure that kids are passionate about their faith too. And then I started university in 2018, and I didn't really know what I was doing at first. I was in university entrance. And I always had a passion for like helping other people and teaching. I don't know why it wasn't obvious for me to get into education, but I eventually did. And the last thing I have is lockdown, which is dated to 2020, because I did learn a lot about myself this past year, that has been really beneficial to my self growth. And that's all I have.
Good job, guys. You guys are killing this. Um, let's go to Vincent next.
Yeah, I'm Vincent. So my sister's Julie and my brother's Junior, so I don't want to tell kind of the same things, but I'll give a brief description of my timeline. So we first came to Canada. I was pretty young, and going into grade one, I had to make friends quick. So I know I only spoke French at the time because it was also like most people also spoke English at the school. It was a French school. So I had to, integrate and learn, like the Western style of living, like, toys and all this. We never really had that, like, so it's like, it was very different. And then we just had to adapt to the society around us. And then moving to Calgary, um, we also went into a French school. And it was kind of the same thing, just still integrating into the community, but we were more integrated at that point in our lives as a family. We beginning to like get around what we're supposed to do and how life goes, like in Canada and whatever. And then like my biggest change was probably going into grade 7 because that's when I went to an English school. So it's like you have to really change. And like being in French my whole life, I made friends quickly, but when you go into an English school, it's like I didn't know anybody. I had one friend from playing soccer at the park, so it's like I had to make a whole new group of friends from no one I even knew. So I was mostly like, by myself, more of a quiet kid for like the first few years. And then, I began making friends. I fell in love with basketball and soccer. And then like that really played a major role in my life because that gave me something to go fall back on, like maybe help me make friends and, always kept me busy, with everything going on. And then high school was somewhat of an easier journey because I was already integrated and everything felt easy. I got my first job in grade 10, working at a restaurant. And yeah, from that point, everything went pretty smooth. Coming to the decision of what I'm going to do in university, it was a big decision, so I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I love sports and everything, so me and my sister Jolie, she helped me look for a program to fall into, and like looking at what I was capable of doing, I decided on athletic therapy, which was, it matches with sports and everything I love to do, and I felt that would be my best fit. And so this was my first year of university. I'm going into my second semester, and so far so good. Still working part-time because I'm a part-time student at the moment. So yeah, that's really where I'm at right now.
Good job. Gaylor? Papa Gaylor, t'es là? Tu peux intervenir en français, je peux traduire après. Ouais, c'est un groupe bilingue, toujours.
Ok. Bonsoir à tous. Good evening, everyone. En fait, j'aimerais un peu donner l'un des causes qui créent de l'instabilité ou qui créent les déséquilibres chez les enfants. Et je prends une cause qui je suis tombé victime. Vous voyez? Donc, je vais essayer d'utiliser un peu les mots plus simples pour la compréhension, pour relayer le message. En fait, je suis né vers les années 80, 80 quelques. Pas 80 juste, dans les 80 quelques. Bon, je suis né d'un papa qui avait beaucoup d'argent. Hélas, c'était un homme à femme. Il aimait beaucoup de femmes. Vous voyez, il aimait vraiment des femmes. Il avait plusieurs femmes et plusieurs enfants aussi. Je dis que les causes en question, c'est les divorces des parents qui créent les déséquilibres ou une instabilité chez les enfants. C'est au fait ça les thèmes. Mais qu'est-ce qui s'est passé dans ma vie? Lorsque je suis né, je crois, je n'avais même pas une année, j'avais, je crois, 3 mois. Mon père menait tellement une vie irrésolue, une vie de l'instabilité, et ma mère a décidé de les quitter. Vous voyez, je suis resté entre les mains de mon père, pas à l'âge même, à 3 mois de ma naissance. Je vécis chez mon père pendant 8 ans, donc de 3 mois jusqu'à l'âge de 8 ans. Il avait beaucoup d'argent, on ne manquait de rien, on partait dans les bonnes écoles, on était vraiment dans les conditions vraiment et très bien. Vous connaissez à l'époque de Mobutu, les papas qui avaient de l'argent, là, on les appelait des Mvoandou. Je ne sais pas si Ike, tu te rappelles du mot Mvoandou. On les appelait des Mvoandou, les gens qui avaient des moyens, des possibilités. Donc, on a vécu ça avec le papa, mais il y a une chose qui manquait dans la maison, c'est l'éducation. Vous voyez, papa était tout le temps partant dans des missions des affaires, il était presque pas à la maison. Et nous, les enfants, nous étions abandonnés à notre propre sort. Donc, l'éducation, c'est tout le monde qui s'est démerdé comme ça. Donc, c'était vraiment difficile. Et à l'âge de 8 ans, il y a un cousin de ma mère qui a fait... On vivait dans la ville de Mobutu. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez la ville de Gbadolite au Congo. Oui. C'est là où je suis né et je vécu là-bas pendant 8 ans. À l'âge de 8 ans, il y a un cousin de ma mère qui est venu, qui avait fait aussi un voyage là-bas. Il a demandé à mon père si possible qu'il me prenne pour m'amener chez ma mère parce que vu que mon père n'avait pas le temps pour nous. Il a dit que si possible que vous me donnez cet enfant ici pour que je puisse l'amener chez, chez sa mère. Parce que vous ici, vous n'avez pas le temps. Vous n'avez pas le temps de l'éduquer, vous n'avez pas le temps de l'encadrer. Il serait plus mieux que l'enfant vive chez sa mère. Et le papa aussi avait donné son accord, voilà, j'ai quitté la ville de Guadolite pour la ville de Kinshasa, vers les années 90 quelques. Je vécis là-bas, mais c'était vraiment terrible, c'était du contraste. Là-bas, il y avait de moyens, il y a carence de l'éducation. Ici, je viens, je trouve une difficulté énorme, alors énorme de finances. Les difficultés étaient vraiment dans tous les plans, social, scolarité, c'était vraiment dur. C'est comme si vous passez d'une extrémité à une autre. C'était vraiment dur pour moi. C'était dur de supporter ça. Vous venez d'une maison où vous n'avez jamais manqué à manger, vous n'avez jamais manqué les vêtements, vous n'avez jamais manqué quoi que ce soit. Et vous arrivez dans une autre maison où tout ce que vous avez eu là-bas, ici, il n'y en a pas. La scolarité était devenue très dure, manger même très difficile, même les besoins nécessités, les premiers besoins, c'était vraiment difficile. Et je n'arrivais pas à me situer. C'était vraiment difficile pour moi et trop dur pour moi de supporter. Heureusement, autour de moi, il y avait des gens, qui ne cessaient de m'encourager. Ils me disaient toujours, c'est une école que tu es en train de passer. Tu viens de ton père, chez ton père, tu as vécu là-bas, tu as vu comment est-ce que la vie se passe. Tu as vu comment est-ce que tu as vu comment tu as goûté à la vie des moyens, en fait. Ici aussi, c'est une école, vous voyez. Tout ce que tu dois faire, c'est chercher à commencer à tracer ta propre vie. Les deux vies que tu as vécues là, ce n'est pas ta vie, en fait. Ce ne sont pas ta vie. C'était la vie de ton père, celle-ci, c'est la vie de ta mère. Et toi aussi, tu dois te battre en tant qu'homme pour donner une lignée ou un sens à ta vie. Et déjà, des gens comme ça, à côté de moi, ils étaient toujours là pour m'encourager, m'encourager, m'encourager. Et tous ces encouragements-là m'a forgé un tout petit peu, m'a donné la force de, de ne pas lâcher, de ne pas lâcher. Malgré les difficultés, je partais toujours à l'école, malgré les insuffisances. Peut-être tu manquais même les transports pour aller à l'école, je partais à pied. Vous voyez? Donc, ça s'est fait que Dieu m'a fait grâce, c'était aussi par la grâce de Dieu qu'on se le dise, parce qu'au Congo, ceux qui ont vécu là-bas connaissent les difficultés, il y a tellement des difficultés énormes au pays. L'étude est tellement compliquée, avoir de quoi manger même, c'est difficile. Mais Dieu a fait grâce, je finis mes études secondaires, je finis mes études humanitaires, je suis allé à l'université, je même décroché mon diplôme universitaire. Je suis licencié en économie publique. Et d'un d'un bateau magique comme ça, l'Éternel a fait grâce, j'ai trouvé du travail. C'était même, je crois, à une semaine à la fin de ma collation académique. J'ai trouvé du travail. Et j'ai commencé maintenant à intérioriser, à revoir les conseils que les gens me donnaient. Ah, en tout cas, ces gens-là avaient raison. Il fallait que je puisse persévérer, que je puisse vraiment persévérer dans la vie parce que ce n'était pas facile. Vous quitter d'un camp pour partir de notre camp, c'était vraiment pas facile. Et j'ai tiré une leçon là, à, à cette histoire. La leçon est que si certains enfants aujourd'hui ont du mal mentalement à s'en sortir dans la vie, je crois que nos parents, ou soit les parents aussi, ont une grande un grand part des responsabilités aussi à l'intérieur. Si on est parent, on doit toujours rester soudé pour, pour le bien-être des enfants. Vous voyez, à fortiori de se séparer, ça crée des choses, ça crée des cassures, ça crée des déséquilibres, ça crée des déséquilibres que vous ne pouvez pas imaginer. Chez les enfants, ça crée des histoires terribles. Et les enfants qui ont de telles situations, qui traversent de telles situations, ils ont juste besoin de soutien moral. Ils ont juste besoin qu'on les encourage de chaque jour d'aller de l'avant, de forger, de ne pas baisser les bras. Les enfants comme ça ont besoin vraiment de soutien, de nos conseils, de beaucoup de choses en fait. Donc bref, c'est un peu ça la leçon que je tirais de la vie qui et les circonstances m'ont donné. Donc voilà, j'ai tiré un peu cette leçon-là et j'aimerais la partager avec tout le monde ici pour que vous ayez une idée de la vie. C'est vraiment une chose importante. Donc, évitons les divorces, nous les parents, les enfants qui vivent déjà les cas des divorces des parents. Donc, il faut toujours des conseils, il faut toujours les encourager pour aller de l'avant. Ne pas baisser les bras. Je suis aujourd'hui marié, bientôt j'aurai des enfants comme papa Ike. Donc, voilà un peu en résumé mon histoire. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Merci, nous n'allons pas divorcer.
D'accord.
Okay. I'm just going to translate his story just for those who may have a hard time with French. And then we can move on from there. So Gelo was saying that he was born in and around the 1980s. And when he was born into a wealthy family, or the paternal side of his family was quite wealthy. But there was instability in his parents' relationship at first, which led to a divorce really, really early on. So he said that by about 3 months, his parents were split, and he spent his time from 3 months old to about 8 years old with his father. When he lived with his father, they were able to live in the city of Mobutu. Like it's a city like Mobutu built out of nowhere. It's called Guadalupe. Back in the day, it was well-developed place. Mobutu took care of his people, and he grew up there with his father. His father had money. He grew up not really lacking anything in that city. They're a bit detached. It's a bit detached from the realities of Kinshasa, where his mother was. He lived that life for a while, but it was unbalanced. He was missing something. His father wasn't at home all the time, so there was a lack of balance he was really experiencing with living just with his dad, though he was probably in the best city in all of Congo, the most developed city with somebody with money. There was still something missing. When he was about 8, he went to live with his mom, and it was the complete reverse. He had somebody there with him, somebody who could invest into his life, like invest their time, invest all these things into his life. But financially, it was a reverse of what he was living in Guadalupe with his father. So there was a fight to get pretty much anything. Transportation was hard, to eat was hard, to get your education was hard. But he had people around him who could encourage him. The people around him who could encourage him told him that this is just a moment. These are just lessons that you just need to learn for right now. This will pass. You're going to be complete later on. He ended up forcing to go to school despite all the hard times. He ended up finishing his university degree in Congo, which is no small task, and even a greater miracle on top of that. In Congo, after like a week only after graduating, he was able to get a job in Congo. So he's really just emphasizing the fact that in his life there was a lot of imbalance that stemmed from just living in 2 households, a lot of unbalance in his life from like the decisions that he didn't necessarily make, but how his parents were kind of living. So for him, he's saying that kind of thing, that we have to be mindful of our acts as well. If you're a parent, I don't think most of us, but me, for example, I'm a parent, so maybe he's talking specifically to me. We have to be mindful, really, the actions that we're taking has repercussions beyond us, and he's speaking as a person who faced those repercussions of having come from a split household. So hopefully, did that people who speak French and English, that was a good good enough. Okay, good stuff. So thank you, Gail, and we're good to go there. We'll go to Cristiano next.
Oh, sorry. So, my story timeline. Sorry. So, d'abord, on va commencer au début. Ma mère, elle était tombée enceinte pendant qu'elle avait 18 ans là. Et elle était c'était une étudiante pendant ce temps-là. Et puis là, quand elle était tombée enceinte.
Cristiano. Lavi, est-ce que tu peux m'aider à traduire?
Oh.
Oui, ça va. Tu peux continuer, mais on ne peut pas te voir là. Et puis,
Okay,
le son est en train de cracher un peu.
Ok. Oh, sorry.
Non, ça va. Tu peux continuer en français, c'est pas grave. Après, il y a Lavi qui va traduire en anglais, mais c'est seulement pour les gens qui ne parlent pas français. Mais si possible, on veut te voir aussi. Et puis, je ne sais pas si on peut faire quelque chose avec le son là. Donc, ça...
Oh, je parle français, ok.
Oui.
Ok. Et pendant qu'elle était étudiante, et là, elle avait pas de choix, soit elle allait couper, genre, d'aller au school et tout, parce qu'elle était enceinte. Et puis quand je suis né, puis je suis allé comme vivre avec mes grands-parents et tout. Et elle a comme, fallait qu'elle continue d'aller au school. Puis là, elle m'a laissé chez mes grands-parents. Puis là, je suis allé grandir avec mes grands-parents. Puis là, en 2015, il y avait mon grand-père qui était, comme il a passé away. Puis là, j'avais comme 12 ans, 10 ans, 14 ans, 13 ans. Puis là, pendant que je commençais avec mon grand-père, il me donnait toujours des conseils comme il disait, non, si tu grandis aujourd'hui là, ça faut pas être comme des enfants de la rue et tout. Et tous les conseils qu'il m'a donnés, genre, je vois, ça se réalise aujourd'hui comme, déjà, l'année passée, j'avais perdu mon ami qui était comme un gangster. Genre, il s'est fait shot parce qu'ils avaient des bifs, genre, entre eux et tout. Et puis là, depuis ce jour-là, comme j'ai réalisé que non, être comme un enfant de la rue, c'est pas, c'est pas une bonne idée parce que nous, déjà là, pendant que je suis là, genre souvent, quand on regarde des amis qui sont dehors là, on voit non, ils font ceci, ceci là et tout. Puis pour nous là, c'est un bail crazy, comme truc comme ça. Et comme, c'était juste comme ça, comme ma story timeline. Yeah.
Very good. Unfortunately, the beginning of the story I did not hear, but it has to do with, that part had to do with his mother, who gave birth to him very early when she was still a student. And when she gave birth to him, his grandpa, Cristiano's grandfather, asked his mother to go back to school, university. She went back, and Cristiano went to spend lifetime with his grandpa or grandparents. And there is the time where his grandparents helped him a lot with advices about life, of which when he grew up, he realized that those advices were very important because most of his friends succumbed in certain life realities that he realized that it was due to the fact that they did not get good guidance during their life growing up, unlike him, who was advised and guided by his grandpa. Those advice make him the person he is currently. Yeah, that's in summary what he said.
Thank you, Cristiano. That was really brave of you to speak about losing friends and that kind of thing there. So Definitely much appreciated. I appreciate you guys' courage. Honestly, you guys, you guys are blowing me away here. Very, very much. So we'll go to uh, Raisa next, and then we'll finish with Christiana.
Okay, so my timeline, I started with the year born in 2000. I was born on May 17 in Angola, in Luanda. And at that time, when my parents were married in 1999, my dad had the opportunity to get a visa to come to Canada. And he asked my mom if either he should either come or stay with her. And my mom told him to come. So he came. And when she stayed, she was pregnant with me. And then she had me in 2000. And at that time, my dad was not there with us. And the doctors really, they kind of violated her and all that, especially in Africa back then when you tell them that, oh, I don't have a husband, they're going to think that you're like a single mother, and they're just gonna like harm you and all that. And so she really struggled with that. And then in 2000, so I grew up with my grandparents, with my mom and my other mom's siblings. In 2006, I came to Canada, me and my mom, in Montreal. I learned French in Montreal. I was 5 years old back then. And then in 2000, and it was my first time seeing my father too. But back then, I didn't really like him because the pictures of him that I used to see and what I saw in reality, I was like, no, this is not my dad. This is not my dad. But it was really my dad. And in 2016, no, 2009, we came to Calgary. We moved to Calgary. And ever since, I have not really lived anywhere else but here. In 2016, I started high school. 2018, I graduated high school. In 2019, I took team in the Calgary Stampede. I had to work 10 plus 12 hours of shift. Whenever finishing work, I would come back home, shower, and go straight to sleep because, like many of the people said here, it's really an eye opening working for that long, standing that long. It's really not easy. And especially when you realize you're working for someone else. In 2019, last year, 2 years ago, I traveled to the Congo. It was for my cousin's wedding. And that was when I met my dad's side of the family. But going to Congo was a good experience because it was nice seeing the difference. It was nice seeing how people live there. And it's really so different from here. So one of the transportations that I used there, other than taxi, was a a motorcycle. And wait, sorry. And since I speak French and Lingala, it was really easy for me to communicate with my church members and with my dad's family. But a story that I was supposed to tell you guys on Monday, Papa Ike, I forgot. So so going to Congo, um, so we took Brussels Airlines, and once we got there, I wasn't by myself. I was with like three members of my church. And once we got there, they didn't cancel our flight, but yeah, I think they canceled our flight, and we had to take another flight. But we were obligated to like have another night there at the airport. But like since me and other members, like my auntie and her kids, since we were Canadian citizens, we had the opportunity to sleep at a hotel. But there's two of my cousins, they had to sleep in the airport because they were refugees. They weren't Canadian citizens. And that was like, I didn't know it worked like that.
So it was a really an experience for me. And going to Congo, it was an eye opener for me because it encouraged me to study hard. And one day, thinking of building up my own business in Congo. In 2020, last year, during the pandemic, the lockdown, I started my own beauty business online. I sell beauty products. When I realized that I wanted to become independent and financially stable, I realized that I cannot depend on anyone else but myself. And I also started college in September 2020. My program is Child and Youth Care Diploma. And then I started working as an intern at SOS Congo. It's also an opportunity for me to grow my creativity and my skills. And for this year, I wrote practicum because I'm going to have my practicum this March. And I can't wait to see what God has in store for me. Yeah, I'm done.
Sorry, I was unmuted and I muted myself. Ah, man, good stuff, guys. I keep hearing you guys talk about the struggle of working. Do you guys remember working for $5.90? You guys started working when it's almost $10 an hour that you're making. Things really change. I just gotta let you guys know that you go, oh, I worked at this damn Pete, I struggled this. I don't know,
I was
man.
thinking the same thing. Like
You're thinking that too, eh?
$4.50 an hour.
Wow. Good. Okay.
You said $2.50 an hour?
It was $5.90 an
It
hour.
was $4.50. I started at $4.50 an hour.
$4.50. Man, it's just slavery. That's what it used to be. And I bought my first car making that money. If you ever drive by a Chinook movie theater, yeah, that's where they used to lock me up. And I worked the whole summer. And yeah, no, it's still kind of.
I think he also is even elegant compared to us who started our first job in Congo. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Last time I was in an interview and they asked me what was my first salary. I said, no, I'm not going to share that.
All right, good. We're gonna go with Christiana next. Can you guys, are you guys able to give us 5 to 10 extra minutes to go? Is that okay tonight? We just have a couple questions that we want to close up with, and that might take a little bit of time. So we're gonna go with Christiana next. Don't feel like you have to hold back. This is more important, obviously, hearing you guys talk and sharing this way. But afterwards, we just want to have a quick discussion there, and then yeah, we'll end after that. Okay, Christiana, last but not least.
Okay, so I guess I just made mine on paper, so it just looks like this. So it started off with my date of birth. So I was born in 1997 in a really small town in Belgium. Life there, I was born to two Congolese parents, so both my parents are Congolese and they were immigrants there. And I would say that life there in that small town called Beersel, well, Dwarp, and it was a community called Beersel. It was really, I don't want to say sheltered, but like all small towns, it's pretty predictable and it's stable, and you basically know everyone there. And I guess since I lived most of my primary years there, I kind of just had the idea that it was going to look, a certain way up until we moved in 2006 to Canada. So we first came to Montreal and we stayed there with our family for 2 weeks. Moving to Canada was really eye-opening, but it was also, I guess, for a 9-year-old girl that has only known life in a certain, because when I was living in Belgium, I had never really gone anywhere else. So it was really dreadful. I lost like all my friends. I found myself in an environment where I didn't speak any of the languages. Like my French was very limited and I didn't speak any English at all. So it was a lot of learning to do. And then, so we stayed in Montreal for 2 weeks, and then we went straight to Calgary, and then I went to a French school. So then I had to learn French very quickly because I could only speak it, but I couldn't write, and I was really behind compared to my other classmates. I had to learn English at the same time and try to make friends and everything, get used to life in Canada. It was difficult to make friends, I would say, for me as I was 9, 10-year-old girl, because I just didn't really speak the language and the culture was so different, and it was quite a culture shock for me. And it's also, I guess, during that time when I really understood what it was like to feel completely isolated in a crowd, because I didn't really understand anyone or understand what was going on around me. And it took a while to kind of settle in and really, lay roots and get to know people and let other people in. And then I would say after that, so junior high, that was in 2000 and, when was that? 2009. So it was 12, 13 during that time. And I think that time in junior high was really crucial for me because that's when I really started to see like how the world works. I learned like the politics of gender and what it means to be a woman and how we're socialized and what was expected of us. And I also learned about race and how, I guess, being a Black woman, how you're perceived, what people expect of you, and just how you're treated like in society. I think that was really eye-opening for me. And I kind of started to see what racism looks like and how that intertwines with gender and just also how you're perceived as a Black woman compared to your non-Black female friends. I think there's also like a dynamic there as well. And that was really eye-opening for me to see. And then I started high school, and at 16 I had my first job also working at Callaway. And that was also pretty eye-opening too, because you learn the value of a dollar and how valuable your own money is and how you have to work so hard just to make certain plans work and everything. So that was really an experience for me. That same year, I think, yeah, I was still 16. I went to a trip to France and Spain, and it was my first time back in Europe since I had moved at 9. So it was really a confusing time because I was close to home, but not quite. But it was nice to kind of have like a change of scenery and to be somewhere that was somewhat familiar for me. And then also in high school, was also a lot of learning for me too, because I started getting a bit more I would say close to my Congolese heritage and learning about the culture and everything, because I was more curious and I wanted to know just what it meant to be Congolese and how that all works. So I learned all about that through my parents. And then I graduated high school in 2015. And then I started university the same year, and I got into the program of my choice, which was law and society. And I had always known I wanted to work in law since junior high. So that was really nice to get something that I wanted to do and go from there. And I've done a small mentorship with a lawyer, and I should be graduating this year, and I'm excited to see what life has to offer me. Yeah, and that's everything.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. What's gonna happen here is I'll pass it over back to Alyssa, who has a last slide she wants to share. Then we're gonna go to Lavi, who has a few words we're gonna share, and then we're gonna go into a kind of transition discussion to close up. That's gonna tie into what we're gonna talk about next week coming up here.
So you guys did awesome. Those were amazing timelines. I can't believe you guys did all that in just like 10 minutes that you had to do it. And thank you so much. It is truly a gift to share stories like that. And I know it's not always easy, and really appreciate it and thank each one of you for sharing what you shared today. And I have sort of a step 2, and some of this you guys have already like jumped in. You kind of jumped ahead because you're awesome like that, obviously. So some of these are sort of a step 2 to timelines, and because it's really not just about like the specific events that you write down, but it's about the stories that are behind those events. And I think we really dove into some of those stories already. But step 2 is kind of some prompting questions to help you think about what are some of those stories behind the events that you put on your timeline. And you guys automatically went there already. So you probably don't need this step, but I'm going to throw them out because maybe some of the questions you haven't thought about, or maybe some of them you want to take away and think about a little bit more. or maybe they'll sort of factor into some ongoing conversations going forward. So the questions that I have are, sorry, my Zoom is covering up. I can't see my questions. There we go. So yeah, reflect on your timeline as the stories behind these events that really matter. What are the connections between the events on your timeline and where you are today? What did you learn about yourself from putting these events on your timeline? So that's kind of, I think that one, you guys, a lot of you already did that as you were going along. So good work. But maybe if you didn't get a chance to think about that, you might want to take that and think about it a little bit more. Another question is to think about how the events on your timeline were influenced by Congo, or how might the Congo, or how might they impact Congo in the future? So trying to sort of draw some of those connections. It is something that a lot of you, not everyone I know is from
You
Congo.
can put Trinidad there, Felicia.
And Trinidad, yeah, you can. I was going to say you can put wherever your own culture, or but think about, our timelines aren't just our own. Our timelines are influenced by where we come from and those around us, and our timelines also influence others. And so take a minute to think about how could your timeline influence Congo in the future, or how has it influenced it today? And then the last question, which I think also started to come out a little bit, but what are the connections that you see between your story and the other timelines that were shared? I know there was a lot of times, and I think this is really the power of stories, is someone sharing something and it's like, oh yeah, I felt that too. Or, oh yeah, I've got maybe not the exact same experience, but something that helps me connect with what you were saying. And those are really important moments. And I think that's how we build relationships. That's how we build connections. That's how we work really well together. That's how we leverage sort of our better common understanding. And so maybe take some time and think about the connections that you saw in your stories today and what that means for you going forward. You're muted, Ike.
Oh, sorry. Okay, awesome. Lavi, did you have anything to kind of add to wrap up there?
Yes, thanks a lot, guys, for sharing your life stories with us. I want to let you know that all of you guys here are heroes. I am sorry for talking about Mandela and Jesus. I did not know that we are surrounded by heroes here. Next time, I will be sharing your life stories, saying that I know some heroes in my life. What you shared today really overwhelmed me with emotion, and I don't know how I can say. Thanks a lot for sharing. I want you to understand that life is made with ups and downs. Your life story doesn't only have to be the perfect one, as I said. Share as much as you are inspired, it will inspire someone else, being the good one or the bad one. So please be proud of yourself, your past, whether it's ugly or good, always be deliberate when you are sharing. You really empowered us tonight. Understand also that you are a unique being. There's no one else like you. There are not two of you. There's only you alone. And the entire world, until it will be extinguished or finished, there will be only just you. There won't be second you or third you. So your life story experiences are unique, and therefore you need to empower the world by sharing it the same way you did to us tonight. Please feel free. We are inviting you to come again next time, and invite other people to come also and share with us. Invite them to come and listen to your life story. I'm impressed that all of you here already know the dollar's value. That is very good. At your age, I did not work yet. However, you know the dollar value. That is very good. That already takes away from you the entitlement feeling. Understand that the world does not owe you. You are the one who need to empower the world. Keep working hard and understand you will forever work hard to live. That's what I wanted to say. You are unique, you are heroes, and life is made with ups and downs. Keep working hard and share your life stories. Thank you.
Excellent. OK, et puis, Papa Guéla, est-ce que tu as un mot à dire pour clôturer un peu?
Oui, allô? Allô?
Oui, tu étais là.
Bon, je n'ai pas grand-chose à dire, hein. Je sais pas. Bon, par rapport à la séance d'aujourd'hui,
Pardon?
les mots par rapport quoi, à la séance d'aujourd'hui.
Oui, oui, oui. Si tu avais quelque chose à ajouter ou bien si tu as tout dit, ça va. Je veux juste te donner la chance là,
Non, non,
d'ajouter quelque chose.
non, non, c'est bon, j'ai
C'est
tout
bon?
dit.
Ok, ça va. C'est bon. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do an exercise that we did on Monday with our first group. There's not too many of you guys here who were there at that who are here at this time. So what we're gonna do now is see like what we start off doing in a very powerful. We show that we all have our own individual stories. We all have our own individual strengths. We all have our own individual wisdom to kind of impart and share. The trick though happens is like what's the aspect that connects us, what's the thing that's there, or like that glue that kind of binds us all together. We have our individual stories, but then trying to get at what connects us, like that's kind of like the next level of things that we're going to be trying to take a, a look at here. So I'm gonna, I shared with the other group on Monday just kind of how the Canadian government sees Black people or things that have or trends that have been happening in the Black community recently. I'll share this super quick with you guys, and then what I want you guys to do next is we're gonna have a quick discussion about what we think about Congolese people or about Black people in general. What are the stereotypes that are there? And once we kind of have that list there, we want to see if any of those have had an impact in any way on our timelines. And then that's going to be a good setup for our discussions next week, which are around community mapping. So understanding our community, understanding the stories that are there, and understanding how things kind of work. So this is a list here of just stats of the Black population, immigrants to Canada starting from 2016. So we're like 5 years on. They just haven't released new statistics yet, but Black people are kind of coming up. You'll see here the top countries there: Jamaica, Haiti, Nigeria, all is there, Ethiopia, Somalia, but Congo, we're coming up. We're now beating Ghana and Trinidad. Sorry, Congo's on top of you now. Cameroon and the United States. But out of these groups too, the government still does make some distinctions. Yeah, we're all Black coming from either the Caribbean or Africa, but there are some distinctions. Hold on. Okay, so it's looking at how those kind of groups are kind of arriving in Canada. By contrast, the largest share, 43% of Black newcomers from 2001 to 2016 were admitted under the economic program. About 3 in 10 Black newcomers were refugees. So still 70% of Black people are coming for economic opportunities, but just check to see the countries for economic newcomers. That's Nigeria, Haiti, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and Jamaica. And then top place for refugees: Congo, Eritrea, Haiti, Somalia, and Ethiopia. So we have our own stories, we have our own lenses, we have our own thing, but I want to have a discussion about what is said about Congo, like what you've heard people say about Congo. We're going to try to come up with a list of that. And then we're going to see if those things there have had any impact on our timeline. We're going to try to fill in our timelines a little bit more, or try to think through those things a little bit more. So I'm not sure, Alyssa, if you want to share your page so we can do like a running thing here, but we're just going to do it popcorn style. Just throw it out there, positive or negative things you know about Congo, things you've heard about Congo, or things you've heard people say about Congolese. If you don't want to say Congolese, it can be Black people, it can be something that you kind of represent there. Let's start with Katie again, since you started off the last round.
I haven't really heard what people say about like Congolese, but like I've heard like
positive things. Well, mostly I've heard Congolese can't dress, but I've also heard that Congolese people are sometimes good looking. Like that's all I've really heard.
Do our men have a good reputation? I always start there. You've definitely.
Well, I personally, if it comes time for me to get married, I would avoid the Congolese.
Wow. Wow. That hurts the heart, man. You're talking about me. You're talking about us. Okay. Let's go. Raisa, you were at the last one, so I'll give you a chance. Let's go, Pamela.
Well, my family talks about this a lot, and we talk about the effects of imperialism. And basically, what my mom says is that the reason why we're under attack so much is because we have very valuable resources, and to not look at Congo as like poor or underdeveloped, but it's like that because so many things have been taken from that country. So it's the contrary.
Okay. Let's go, Vincent.
I haven't necessarily heard anything like about Congolese, but I feel personally that they're pretty hard workers. Like they really work hard for what they want and things like that.
All right, let's go, Junior.
Yeah, me as well. Haven't heard too much, but I've heard Congolese people are athletic and sometimes short too.
Short?
Yeah.
Julie?
I think the main things I've heard about Congolese is like that the only things they could do is entertainers. So like dancers, like we're good dancers and we're good at all these, performance, but they don't touch on the other aspects of that, like of qualities that we have. Like, I know a lot of intelligent Congolese people, but all you hear is about entertainment, like dancing and joking and comedian and things like that.
Okay, that's good stuff. We're starting to get there. How do we compare with Nigerians or Ghanaians or South Africans or other groups out there? Have anybody heard things along those lines there? Because you guys are being quite kind. When I was coming up, Congolese, even Congolese people would tell you, like, if you like Congo, they say oublie le Congo. Like, just forget that place completely. If the Congo was a person, it would be a stupid person. Like, those are the kind of things they say. Congo is a place of people with really bad hearts, a lot of jealousy. Things there won't work. We've said the thing about men being bad. I guess I didn't marry a Congolese woman, like at the end of the day, but Congolese women, you guys too also have a reputation for being difficult. Like it is sad. It is sad. And so a lot of those things there led to, I guess I can say maybe my generation of Congolese kind of, a lot of them wouldn't even claim Congo. They'd claim like somewhere else. Have you guys experienced that? Like Raisa, do you know a Congolese person who wouldn't really say that they're Congolese?
In my generation right now, no.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're all so proud of that. Really, nobody is really like ashamed anymore of who they really are. But back then, yeah, yes.
I've heard like, obviously I'm not Congolese, but I've heard like, as when you say compared to like Nigeria, whatever, they're like scam artists, like Nigerians or other countries. They've been referred to as scam artists.
You can just speak, Felicia. You don't have to be on. But yeah, like for somebody from the outside, so Nigerians are scam artists, but Congolese.
I heard that
are we
in
known
comparison. Oh, sorry. I heard that in comparison to Nigerians, that we're a lot more disorganized. Like we have things in common, such as being musically inclined and hard workers, but that in comparison to maybe people from Cameroon or Nigeria, that we're a lot more disorganized and also not unified as the Nigerians are. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and what do you experience on the university campus here? I was there back in the day. I was there back in the day too. And do you feel like the Black populations there is still mostly Nigerian, or are there more Congolese people present?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely mostly Nigerian. And I feel like because the Congolese population there is so small, you just get kind of sucked into the Nigerian bubble, and people just say, well, let's pretend you're Nigerian because it's easier. We don't know what Congo is, or some people can't even look at Congo on a map and will ask you questions like, well, where is Congo? Do you get into Conga there and stuff like that? Like it's really unknown, and people just say, well, let's pretend you're Nigerian because it's easier for us. I think we're kind of not really present when it comes to UFC. Yeah.
Speaking of unity, do you guys on campus or where you are, where you work, when you hear this girl or this boy is a Congolese, do you feel attracted going towards them to talk to them, or do you feel like, just a Congolese, I don't like Congolese people, and you walk away? What's your feeling?
Okay, so personally, I do feel attracted to like kind of go and talk to them and make new friends. I think amongst the youth, we don't really see much of a difference between Congolese people. But what I've seen is that older people are very fragmented. Like people who are from like the south of Congo or maybe like the eastern part of Congo will not talk to other tribal groups. I think there's a lot of like animosity between certain ethnic groups. I know that my parents are from two different groups as well. My dad is from Southwest Congo. My mom is from Eastern Congo, like where Goma is. And like for them, they definitely experience that there are sometimes, especially the Ongolo Congolese, sometimes just do not want to like bear the hatchet and be friends with other Congolese people. That it's a lot of fragmentation. But amongst the youth, we don't really know or have all these I don't know, bickering amongst each other. We just see people as Congolese and that's it. Like we don't even like go by the ethnic groups anymore. We just say, well, are you Eastern Congolese or Western Congolese? Like there's no who's Bakongo and who's whatever. Like nobody cares about that amongst the youth, really.
I see. All right. We'll go to Raisa.
Yeah, for what?
Do you have something to add?
Yeah, what she said is really like that. We don't really choose groups anymore. And like I feel like the youth in the diaspora don't really know things about Congo, Swahili. Like we don't really pay attention to that. We really don't. What is important is just knowing that, oh, you're from Congo too, me too, okay, and that's it. Like we're friends. but we don't get like too close. We don't get too close. We just act like simple Canadians. I can say we don't really focus on the Congo and that.
I see. And then to Cristiano.
Oh, sorry. So what I've heard, that Congolese people are talented, and for us, like Congolese male, they all say we're romantic. That's what I heard.
You nailed it. Very true.
That's true. Okay, good. We're gonna take this stuff there, and we're gonna be referring to it each time we kind of come back to this. What I'd like you guys to do with your timelines and to reflect on it is to kind of find in your timeline the moment when you became aware that you were Congolese, or it doesn't matter what it meant to you at the time, but just when you gained an awareness that you can say even your blackness or like your Congoleseness. I'm gonna end with like a quick story. When I was coming, like when I first became like really super aware that it was different to be Congolese and different to be black, was when I was coming from Congo to North America for the very first time. Well, not the very first time, but when I was in Africa, we left to come to North America. During that time there, it was really weird. Like I was 8 years old, and like I had known about slavery, like kind of, but when we were going to the States, like my parents made a really big point to like educated us, the N-word educated us, like we watched Roots, we watched all these things to understand the context of like North America in the context of being Black. And it's kind of weird when you're out of a setting to realize like, okay, but there's other Black people there. It, you know, like it was multiple levels. It was first like knowing and feeling like, yeah, you're gonna be Black in North America, and there's a history and an identity already attached to that. But separate from that too, like my dad, I remember like, because I was a little bit precocious, my dad would tell me like, you know, even amongst Black people in North America, we're still a little bit different from them. There might be some of them who are really attracted, connected, and love Africa. Other people might have hard feelings, specifically about Congo, specifically that Congo, like a lot of slaves came from Congo. Some people might remember that history, and some people might feel like the Africans were kind of like the ones who sold the slaves, you know. And so going into that setting, that was like my first kind of like realization that there's all these differences, you know, like you're Black, you're this, you're that, like, but it all kind of factors into your life. So take a look at your timeline, find that point in your timeline where you kind of woke up, where you kind of realize that you're categorized as something. And then when we reconnect on Monday, we're going to take a look at our community here, how it functions, the strengths, the weaknesses, the things that we can work on together. Does that make sense? I don't want to keep you guys here and then we do a circle. I was connected to Congo at this point in my life. You know, like we need to sleep. We need to have a weekend. We got to enjoy ourselves too. But I'll put that on there, and then we're gonna discuss that further. Before we close up, any words, any final thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on when you said difficult women. I did encounter that in university, and I was completely sidetracked, I think, but not in a negative way. I think I met I met a couple of like Nigerian guys, and they were, as soon as I told them I was Congolese, they were like, "Oh, you guys are difficult," and they thought that that was like an attractive thing. They said that like they thought because you're not like a doormat and guys always have like demands and everything, it's exciting to be around a Congolese girl because they're known to be, I guess, more argumentative. And usually I thought like usually you see these things like phrased in a negative way. So this was kind of different. I was like, we're known to be difficult. Like I didn't know that, and I didn't know if people thought that it was attractive either. So that was kind of weird for me. I didn't know that we had that reputation either. So that was really strange.
Oh yeah, you guys got that. Yeah. Dust your shoulders off. You guys are beautiful. The only problem is you guys don't like us. That's the thing. If I pretend I'm a Nigerian and I go talk to a Congolese, hey, it's a win. But if they smell that Congo on you, somehow, I don't know. Well, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around. Any other thoughts there? Any other ideas we should wrap up, close up? Okay, we are good to go. So this is week 1 timelines. Take a look at that document I sent you for outcomes and training outcomes for this thing. See if this connects with anything that you guys, specifically for the people who are looking to connect with youth, who are looking to get hours in like kind of the community field of things. I hope that you guys will see this as a kind of tool, like something that you can help kind of lead this exercise for your own kind of group moving forward. So hopefully this isn't the first time or the last time we'll be doing it. We'll be coming back to do it again, and then I'll pick people to lead it, and it won't be me leading it. It'll be one of you guys, and we'll see the differences and the changes that kind of takes.
Please do some research about Congo. One of the icebreakers we'll have soon will be about Congo. Some quizzes about questions about Congo. It won't be next week or week after next, but just prepare yourself.
Will the hours remain the same for Monday?
I sent that in the email. Like we're definitely open to be flexible. We know that school and everything schedules are going to be shifting next week. So if we need that time to be later in the evening, let us know. But for now, like nobody said anything to the message, so I'm leaving it for now. But if that time is not going to work for you because of school, because of other things, please do reach out to us and we'll make those adjustments.
Okay.
Raisa?
I just have one more question.
Yeah. To
Okay,
ask,
go Raisa and then Jolie.
when do we meet on? I mean, next week actually. Like, did you already send the links or?
I didn't send the links, but the times remain the same. So 2 to 4 Monday and then 6 to 8 Friday. But the
Okay.
2 to 4 on Monday, like if that doesn't work for people, let us know and we can make those adjustments.
La vie,
Ouais.
excusez-moi, vous pouvez expliquer en français ce que je vais dire?
La rencontre, c'est pour le lundi de 14h à 16h et vendredi, même heure. Alors, si vous n'êtes pas disponible pour le lundi, faites-nous savoir. On pourra voir si la majorité n'est pas disponible. On va changer. Donc,
Okay. Vous n'envoyez plus les liens doubles pour enregistrer?
les liens pour la réunion seraient envoyés, n'est-ce pas? C'est ce que vous avez dit.
Oui, on va envoyer le lien, fort probable, le lien va être envoyé dimanche là. Dimanche, on va envoyer quelques matériels et puis le lien pour le Zoom aussi.
Ok, c'est bon.
Okay, Jolie?
Yeah.
So I just had a question about like the times. So do we still have the two options of where like the Monday or the Friday? Because for me, evening works better for me because like yeah, usually like school doesn't end until my classes don't end until 4 o'clock like online either. So the Monday wouldn't work that well. But Monday evening would work like if it was like later, like 5 or something. But the 4 is a little bit too
Hard? Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. Pam, is that I saw you shaking your head kind of, is that the same situation you're in?
Yeah, evenings are best.
So in short, who's down for Monday evening? Yeah.
Would Monday evening work better for people? You know what? We'll send another doodle poll. Like, do those doodle polls work? Like, are you guys gonna respond to it if we send it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about we send another doodle poll for the Monday? It seems like, is everyone okay for Fridays? Fridays more or less is good?
Friday's good.
Well, you guys are here, so I guess that that says something. Yeah, so we'll send a doodle poll out. You'll see that from Ashley probably tomorrow, and then we'll kind of fix the time for Monday. So Mondays, how the style is going to be, Mondays is going to be like mostly Mondays will be mostly me introducing the topic, me talking, probably a bit more me and another facilitator. And then Fridays, we try to make them more interactive, more getting into like, you know, the nitty gritty of things. If I don't know if that even makes sense, but we'll see. All right. More questions, more concerns? Okay. Donc, Gaylor, on va envoyer un autre lien pour voir à l'heure qui est le plus convenable là pour lundi. Donc, les gens sont en train de dire que lundi après-midi, ça peut être un peu compliqué. Donc, on va proposer d'autres heures là pour voir si on peut commencer un peu plus tard pour le lundi.
Ok, pas de souci. Mais le lundi, ça sera difficile pour moi. Peut-être les vendredis serait mieux.
Le vendredi, c'est mieux? Ok, je vais t'appeler, on va causer, puis on va essayer de régler ça.
Ok.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. It was a good first week. Honestly, awesome. We're doing it. Catch you guys Monday, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.